Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. We are in the countdown of the exit polls for Maharashtra and Jharkhand. And yes, an electoral cycle is not ending in India because in a democracy this big, it doesn't seem to ever end. We've gone through a Lok Sabha election, and if you're fatigued by that, we went straight into Haryana. And guess where we have come? We have come into Maharashtra, Jharkhand. In 3 months, we'll be in Delhi, and the juggernaut will keep on rolling until, of course, somebody says one nation, one poll. So now, where do things stand? Because do voter turnouts matter? Yes, they do. Conventional wisdom tells you that the more the people that come out to vote is the more the people upset with the incumbent. A lower turnout conventionally favors an incumbent, and a higher turnout favors a challenger. But that's not always held true. There are always exceptions that prove the rule. Sometimes, and the BJP would like you to believe this, that there is a pro-incumbency wave. And people want to come out because they're so excited about what the government has been doing. Let's hop straight across to my colleague Asavri Jindal, who's getting you the turnout figures from across Maharashtra.
Popri, Panchpakri, 55.77% is the voter turnout up until 5 p.m. We're going to take you through more of these constituencies.
I'm told by my veritable production crew that we cannot hear her. So we will open this up meanwhile to conversation and we will come back to Asavri. Jasmine Sandhawalia joining us of the BJP. Joyita Basu is still with us. Gargi Nandi Roy is also joining us to break this down. Jasmine ji, let me come to you first. Okay, here we are. Lok Sabha polls, a win is a win. Forming a government for a third historic term is a victory. Now, I know you would have preferred to get 272, but I'm sure no one's feeling too bad about it. Haryana was a big surprise, something to cheer about. A lot of BJP walas are also not too keen on what's happening there, but big surprise. But here we have Maharashtra, ma'am. So how do you think it's going now? The elections are pretty much done and dusted.
Well, we're very confident that even in Maharashtra, we will be doing the hat trick and we will be forming the government. And even if we respect the exit polls, which our party has always done that, I would definitely say and be very vocal about it, that sometimes the exit polls have not come up to the right mark. And recently in Haryana, everybody had written us off.
Yeah, ma'am, we'll get that connection with you sorted. Why don't we get ma'am off air and get her connection sorted so that she can hear us, so that we don't interrupt the television telecast while an audio check is going on for obvious reasons. Jasmine ji, go ahead, ma'am.
Well, even in Haryana, I remember when anytime I sat even on your television debate, we were always written off. And like you said, that it came as a surprise to the BJP. We were not surprised. We were very cued on the ground and we knew what was happening. And we are very confident that the people in Maharashtra and in Jharkhand are going to vote for our policies. And we are very, very confident that we will be forming governments in both the states.
I have a lot of questions, but the obvious one is, what was the X factor in Haryana? What changed within 3 months where you lost 5 out of the 10 Lok Sabha seats and then formed a majority government in the state?
You see, my logic has always been this, that Haryana has, we retained 5 parliamentary seats. That meant that we retained half of Haryana. Half of Haryana polled for us in the parliament elections. And all we had to do was work harder and take have our leaders reach out, have our workers reach out the voters and tell them what we were doing. And while the Congress became very complacent, it is something which is in their DNA, that once they win a few seats, they did marginally better in the parliament elections and they became very complacent about it. There was so much of infighting between Hooda and Shelja that they were so confident of their win even before the results came out. And Rahul Gandhi, unfortunately or fortunately for us, never did anything substantial to contain the infighting in the Congress and really go and war. He was busy in the small little battles. And that is the reason we won, and the people in Haryana were pretty happy with what we were doing in the state, and that is the reason we won, and that is something which we are going to do in Maharashtra also, in Jharkhand also. It is the BJP is always in election mode, which no other opposition party tries and understands. We go to war very well equipped, And we are very confident that just like in Haryana, we put the opposition on a back burner, we will do
Two questions
that
before I get the others in.
Maharashtra.
Jasmine Sandavalia, we are being told by the people who don't like you in Maharashtra that you guys went in, the BJP went in. There were two local Marathi parties, one led by Sharad Pawar, one led by Uddhav Thackeray, the son of Balasaheb, and you guys through hook and crook broke those Marathi parties. How do you respond to that?
Well, this is a very false accusation. How can political parties be broken? Political parties have their own ideologies. Uddhav Thackeray, unfortunately, has not only let down his legacy. His father was such a tall leader who used to always say that he can never align with the Congress, and today he sat in their lap. So not only did he let down his own party, but he let down the legacy of his father, who always believed in Hindutva, who always believed, and then here is Congress, who always said, who was against the Ram Mandir, who says that Ram is a fictional figure. So we are nobody to break them.
Okay.
Nobody.
Okay. The second point of critique is that the party was a bit desperate, that last minute we saw a general secretary level person of the party distributing cash, and that shows desperation.
Well, this is again a false accusation. I would not. I definitely want to answer that and say that this is a very, when the opposition sees itself losing, it comes up with these bizarre accusations. It's just like anytime Congress wins somewhere, it does not make any hue and cry of the EVS election machines, but the minute they lose, they say, oh, there is, the polls are rigged, the machines are not right, they are set in favor of BJP. So this is something which is a precedent with the opposition parties when they're in their desperation, when they can see defeat right in front of them, they start accusing us of these things. I don't think so. We ever indulged in any nefarious practices in Maharashtra or in Jharkhand.
Okay, stay with me. You answered it. I'm sure the Congress and others feel aggrieved, but the party says it's for the Election Commission now to figure out what needs to get done next. Sabri hopefully is back with me with the turnout figures.
Right, absolutely, Rishabh. Of course, at this point of time, Maharashtra's voter turnout up until 5 p.m. is 58.22%. So that's again the number that we are tracking. As far as Jharkhand is concerned, is 67.59. So let's take you through Maharashtra, where Kopri, Panch Pakdi, 55.77% is the voter turnout up until 5 p.m. Let's quickly take you through all the other key constituencies. Nagpur Southwest, 51.5% up until 5 p.m. Baramati 62.31% up until 5 p.m. is the voter turnout that we are tracking. Bhokar 60.25, the number that we are tracking up until 5 p.m. Worli 47.50 is the number that we are getting. Bandra East 49.51% up until 5 p.m. Mumba Devi 46.10% is the voter turnout. We're also in fact taking a look at Madhkur Shivaji Nagar. 47.46% is the voter turnout that's been tracked till 5 p.m. Bandra West 48.72 voter turnout up until 5 p.m. Last but not the least in the key constituencies, Karjat, Jamkhet 66.50 voter turnout in Maharashtra. Shifting our focus to Jharkhand, wherein Barhet 66.13% is the voter turnout that's been tracked till 5 p.m. Dumka 70.39% voters have inked their fingers. Let's take you through Gandhi 72.83% is the voter turnout that is being tracked. Rajmahal 65.25% voter turnout that has been in fact is there. Littipara 73.50% up until 5 p.m. Diogad 65.76% is the number that is being tracked. Girid 67.12% is the number that we are tracking up until 5 p.m. Bokaro 50.52%, of course a constituency in Jharkhand over there. And again last but not least Dhanbad 52.31% is the number that's being tracked. Rishabh, back to you.
Okay, Sabri, thank you. So now, yes, Jharkhand has a fewer number of voters. Voter turnouts are a lot higher. Mumbai being disappointing, just about 1 in 2 voters showing up for the assembly elections. And the figure will be roughly plus minus a few percent from that as we close. Interesting, and I've already given you the breakdown. Whose news is that? Good news or bad news? We would want to see as many people coming out to vote. And hopefully, the percentages figures once the EC does the tabulations go up. Okay, so now We got a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen, before the exit polls are with us. Now, I put the caveats out there. Take all the exit polls with a pinch of salt. I've been doing this for long enough to know that they are also guesstimations. With a few thousand people, we are trying to predict the will of a few lakh. The wisdom of the crowd will defeat the best of the pollsters. You've seen that. If you get lucky and are near the actual mark, you celebrate. If you miss it, well, we all quietly pretend that it never happened. Okay. So, with that pinch of salt, but nonetheless, yes, it's impossible to predict who's going to win the next Cricket World Cup also, but we take an interest in hazarding a guess. So, we are going to hazard the guess. Every single exit poll we are going to show you here. So, you can make your own judgment call of what the polls are telling you. The poll of polls gives you a larger average mean sample, which indicates a greater likelihood of what is likely to happen versus an individual exit poll. But that's all I can put out. That's going to happen. The Election Commission allows us to put them out in about 14 and a half minutes. So, now let me open this up to straightforward questioning. And the straightforward questioning is, what is the lesson that we've learned now the Maharashtra elections have concluded, and where does this go from here? Joyita Basu, we discussed the fate of Sharad Pawar. Now, let's discuss the fate of the next two, Ajit Pawar and Supriya Sule. Supriya managed to win her Lok Sabha Assembly constituency against Sharad Pawar's wife Sunetra by more than 2 lakh votes. Who inherits the NCP?
Well, I think that is a $1 million question, because you see, a lot will depend on the performance of the respective parties or the respective factions in this case in these assembly elections, because Sharad Pawar's chosen heir is Supriya Sule, and Ajit Pawar is not going to go out without a fight, that is the basic. But at the same time, what would be interesting is, Rishabh, if a situation comes where the two factions come together and maybe join hands with the BJP, because we have been seeing this for a very long time, that Mr. Pawar has a very good relationship with the BJP also. But then again, will they be able to go back to, that Supriya Sule is at the center, Ajit Pawar is at in Maharashtra? I really don't know. It is very difficult to predict.
Okay, all right. You're going to come to my next question, but I'll put the same question to Gargi Roy. Gargi Roy, as things stand, who's better placed? We know that Sharad Pawar has repeatedly said that the betrayers are not welcome back, but it's all possible. We've seen it all in politics. Okay, from H.D. Kumaraswamy and Deve Gowda had a family fight. We saw a family fight between Akhilesh and his father. So we've seen these things happen in the past as well. Who inherits the NCP if Supriya and Ajit Pawar don't get along?
Yeah, thank you, Rishabh, for inviting. I think obviously say Sharad Pawar is a tall leader. I'm audible, right? Because
yes, ma'am. Please go ahead. We can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. So Sharad Pawar is a tall leader, no doubt about that. And he is like, whether you call him Chanakya or whatever, but he is mafia, muscle power, everything put together, Sharad Pawar. But, during the Lok Sabha elections, their faction won, but now even Ajit Pawar has done a lot for Baramati. Now what Ajit Pawar has said to the voters, ki during the Lok Sabha elections, you favored them. Now this time give me a chance. So this time it is difficult to predict, but I think Ajit Pawar has a chance this time because he's talking like that. It is within the family. The powers are very strong in Baramati, and Ajit Pawar has worked there. So I think Ajit Pawar might have a chance because he's appealing to the voters. Like last time you favored the uncle, this time you favor me. And as Jaita said, is there a possibility of Sharad Pawar and Ajit Pawar again joining? Anything is possible.
Okay, so let me put that question next.
As it is said, the morning formation of government between Devendra Fadnavis and Ajit Pawar, if you remember, in 2019, Ajit Pawar said that Sharad Pawar knew it. Sharad Pawar sent him. There were discussions. So I don't know. So Sharad Pawar, to understand Sharad Pawar, if you remember, it was he who first called Sonia Gandhi foreigner. He got away from Congress, and I think after 9 months exactly, again there was a government between Sharad Pawar and NCP and Congress in Maharashtra. So anything can happen.
Okay, anything is possible in politics. So
anything is possible, but Baramati, I think this time people may favor Ajit Pawar.
Okay.
That I think
my next question. My next question. Before I get the politicians back in, and we have a spokesperson of the Sharad Pawar NCP sitting with us. I'll be coming to you very shortly, ma'am. My next question, Joyita Basu. Devendra Fadnavis, who has held fort with a lot of patience for 5 years now, given the fact that the BJP had the largest seats 5 years ago, he was sworn in just for a day and a half, 2 days as Chief Minister for a second time. Can Devendra Fadnavis seal his future? If there is no BJP government this time, what happens to him?
Well, then it will all depend on what the central leadership thinks about him, whether he will be moved to the center maybe accommodated in the union cabinet, or he may be given the opportunity, everything. If you are talking about in terms of if the BJP is not returning to power, I think he will be leader of opposition. I think he will be, because I do not see Eknath Shinde staying with the BJP in that case. So, I think possibly he will be either leader of opposition or he will be brought to the centre.
Gargi Roy, Devendra Fadnavis very patiently has waited 5 years to return as Chief Minister. He had a snippet of a hope when the election results came out 5 years ago. Many argue he should have been Chief Minister. But now what happens to him either way? Does he become CM if they win, and what happens if they don't win?
I think, Rishabh, I think there's no other way. Mahavati will win Maharashtra, that I feel, because whatever my studies say, Mumbai, Thane and Konkan belt, I think Mahavati will do well. Mumbai BJP will do well. Yes, Marathwada is a difficult, you know, in Lok Sabha, Manoj Jarange, the way he campaigned for MVN against Mahayuti, because of that, I think out of 8, 7 BJP, Mahayuti had lost. But yes, Marathwada is difficult. Vidarbha is a question, but this time in Vidarbha, the way the RSS workers have worked in Maharashtra, the way thousands of RSS workers, see, Congress does not have such dedicated, motivated worker on ground. You have to pay them.
So that's a matter of opinion. Obviously, they'll disagree with you.
I feel that Mahayuti is winning, so that the next question is not coming. And if Mahayuti win, there is a strong chance that Devendra Fadnavis will become the Chief Minister. And even in Vidarbha, even Devendra Fadnavis come from that belt only, Vidarbha belt. So if the people vote for him, they will want him as the Chief Minister. And see, BJP, they believes in that nation first, party second, self last. If Mahayuti wins, and if because of political interest to have the Maharashtra with them, if they again decide to make Shindeji the Chief Minister, I think Devendra Fadnavis will accept that. There may be a chance then he will be taken to the centre.
I'll come back and ask this question. We are all hazarding a guess. I mean, we don't decide these things, but we are hazarding a guess from experience and understanding of what goes on behind the scenes. Speaking of what goes on behind the scenes, let me put Dr. Seema Malik in a spot. Ma'am, now that the elections are over and the campaign sloganing and all ends, let's try to have a serious conversation. All of us know, we know it very well, you know it better than I do, that about 7, 8, 10 years ago, Sharad Pawar in 2004 went through what seemed like mouth ulcers. They turned out to be oral cancer, and a decision was made. Ajit Pawar was being nurtured as the nephew for Maharashtra, and Supriya was being set up in Delhi to handle the fourth Lok Sabha union. What went wrong? At what point of time did that plan of action, the division, actually change? Why did it become no Ajit Pawar but Supriya Sule?
No, it was not like this at all. I totally, and I will say it's a big lie that they have promoted Supriya Tai or something. See what happened, I think because of the BJP who is interested in breaking all the parties, breaking the families, this all happened. And I think he never said that Supriya Tai will come to Maharashtra and she wants to become a chief minister or something. And I think for 4 times, Ajit Dada Pawar was deputy chief minister of the Maharashtra. So I think this is very unfair to say that Pawar Sam is promoted.
So what happened in the 40, ma'am, 5 years ago? You remember the day?
They have got a very broad vision. He is one of the tallest leader of this country, and I think this was all. And in the Lok Sabha, I think public ने उनको जवाब दे दिया कि who is the real chief of the NCP. See what kind of result was there.
But I have to ask you, ma'am, and I'm sure this is a story that is relatable now. I'm going to ask you this. 5 years ago, we woke up one fine morning to an unexpected piece of development. I can tell you as a journalist, the unexpected development was Devendra Fadnavis is swearing in as Chief Minister with Ajit Paar as Deputy Chief Minister.
Yes.
In the 48 hours since the first and second swearing-ins of Ajit Pawar 5 years ago, what happened? What happened in that house, in that conversation between uncle and nephew?
Ajit Pawarji and nothing else. It was the desperation of the Ajit Pawarji, and now also against his own, ideology, he has gone there. So this has nothing to do with Sharad Pawarji or something. And you see the position of Ajit Pawarji in that Mahayuti. The 45 seats are given to him, and the way they treat, they tell that हमें उल्टी आती है उनके साथ बैठते हुए, and these kinds of remark is listening. And I think this is I don't know where his self-respect is. And see, this time, the people of the Maharashtra have voted for the real issues of the country. I think that they have voted for unemployment, which is a huge this thing, and they will vote for the inflation. They have voted for the agrarian crisis. They have voted for the price of the soya bean and cotton. And as you see the situation of
no, but ma'am, you see, like I said, the election is over now. But you say they voted for issues. But what were the options?
The way the cash was found there.
Ma'am, in the Pawar hometown of Baramati, the option 3 months ago was Supriya versus Sunitra in the family. The option today is Ajit versus his nephew, Yogendra.
Yes.
So it's within the family. So what is the option being given?
See, from Sharad Pawarji's point of view, he has always promoted he has made so many leaders, whether it is Ajit Dada Pawar or Chhagan Bhujbal, and so many, so there's a list is so long. And if he is promoting a young person who is very capable, and so what is wrong in that? Yeah.
Okay. They say there's an aphorism in the English language, once bitten, twice shy. There's another one that says, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Jasmine Sandhawalia. Now, I'm sure it was an unhappy moment for Devendra Fadnavis, who had been a chief minister and had delivered the BJP as the largest party by far in Maharashtra, to be sworn in and then have the rug pulled under his feet within 48 hours. And Ajit Pawar did that. Yet, you trusted him again. Do you trust him again today?
You're asking me?
Yes, Jasmine ji. Do you trust Ajit Pawar today given what he did 5 years ago?
Well, the central leadership will decide who will be the chief minister. And we are very sure that our alliance with Ajit Pawar has been quite tranquil. It has been a calm relationship. And when every time the BJP is accused that we have broken the Pawar family, we feel very defeated and disappointed by this accusation, because they are not children. They are grown-up politicians. They are seasoned politicians. And Mr. Sharad Pawar is one of the tallest leaders in India, like Madam was saying, and I agree with that. So is Mr. Ajit Pawar, a very seasoned and a very tall politician. People change their sides or switch over to different sides when they know where their future lies and where their ideologies match and marry with the other alliance partner. And we are very confident that our allies stand very committed with us. We are very confident that we are going to be forming the government. Mayoti will be forming the government in Maharashtra, and the next few days will pan out very well for our alliance partners and for the BJP.
Okay.
And and Mr. Sharad Pawar is in for a surprise with the results. And rest, of course, on 23rd.
Okay, I have to ask you then, ma'am, what happened? Okay, I mean, there's a strange quirk of fate that the Shiv Sena completely disintegrated. Now, could an Eknath Shinde have taken so many MLAs for Uddhav Thackeray without being in conversation about government formation with your party? How is that possible? Jasmine ji.
Rishabh, Mr. Shinde obviously, you see, I would like to give you an example that if I am the leader of a party, I do know my MLAs and what my MLAs expect from me and what the MLAs' aspirations are for themselves. It was not just Mr. Shinde, but the aspiration of MLAs of his party. So it must have been a very collective decision. It was not a one-sided decision by Mr. Shinde. His MLAs came to us only because they believed that the BJP was the party for Maharashtra and our ideologies could coexist and we could do developmental work for Maharashtra together, and they were uncomfortable with Sharad Pawar. I would like to say, I would like to reason it that way.
Okay, Ms.
That
Roy,
they were very aware,
Ms. Roy wants to make an
MLAs
interjection.
were aware.
Yeah, ma'am, 30 seconds.
It was not an individual decision, it was a decision.
Okay, Gargi Roy,
I'm
30
sure,
seconds, then I have another question. Gargi Roy, 30 seconds.
Yes, on this I think Rishabh, the thing is the Shiv Sena on the ground, when Uddhav Thackeray went to with the Congress, they felt it was a very unnatural alliance, and Mr. Uddhav Thackeray never used to meet the MLAs from the villages and all. So when you saw these 40 MLAs coming out, I will tell you, it was the rise of the subaltern Shiv Senas. That was the rise of the subaltern Shiv Sainik. They could not stay with Congress and NCP because, Bala Sahib always criticized Congress. So for a person on the ground, see, the leaders shake hands for sake of power, but the person on the ground, the worker who till yesterday was fighting with the other, they find it very difficult, and they were complaining to the MLAs. And Mr. Uddhav Thackeray, as the chief minister, he didn't even go to the Mantralaya. He was always at his house. So he was not even accessible to his MLAs. So those were the conflicts within. And when you say BJP broke it, if you go to the origin, it was Mr. Uddhav Thackeray who broke away from BJP after the three-pole alliance. During the
He did. And we know why he did. I know the politicians have to be careful in what they say. I don't understand why. The elections are over. We can be candid about what happened. Uddhav Thackeray wanted to be chief minister. The protocol between the BJP and Shiv Sena, which had been an alliance for 30 years, was that if there is a chief minister indeed from the Shiv Sena, it is anybody but the Thackeray's. Bala Sahib Thackeray never became chief minister of Maharashtra. Somebody else was always sent to become chief minister in his stead. Devendra Fadnavis wanted to be chief minister, should have been chief minister. Uddhav Thackeray insisted that he's going to be, and that was the point of disparity that led to a flip of government one way and then the other within 48 hours. High drama took place. For the sake of the people of Maharashtra, we are hoping that high drama does not take place this time around. Okay. So then I need to ask the next question to my analysts before I come to the politicians. Joyita Basu, for the people of Maharashtra who voted in 2019 and have been asked to vote again in a Lok Sabha election and yet another assembly election in the past 24 hours, do they have credible options in predictable governments, or are governments in Maharashtra going to become post-poll formulations? Pre-poll doesn't matter anymore.
Well, the thing is, you see, right now, given that we ourselves have been predicting such a close fight, if that happens, then obviously there is no predictable option in this case. But at the same time, it is only the people who can decide. Sometimes there comes a point where people think that enough is enough. I mean, we thought that before, in fact, the Lok Sabha election results, we thought Indian voters had reached that stage where they would go for a landslide or a clear mandate to one party or one alliance. In the Lok Sabha election, things went a little awry, but even then the mandate came, the pre-poll alliance. So I would not be surprised at one level if it happens that the voters decide to give a mandate, because they are also tired of this, I mean, back and forth between these
Gargi
two
Nandi
places.
Roy, is this in the control of voters in a democracy as it should be? Or, like we saw last time around, it doesn't make a difference what the mandate is, the politicians do what the heck they feel like? Because I can't explain to you a situation, because a government of the BJP and the Shiv Sena should have been formed in Maharashtra. Instead, a government got formed of the Shiv Sena, the NCP and the Congress. Then the Shiv Sena as we know it does not exist. The NCP as we know it does not exist. It's one big hodgepodge that even the BJP has run. So this has got nothing to do with the mandate the voters gave. So the voters' mandate today, how much of that will reflect in government formation? Do the netas care about the voters' mandate?
I think in a democracy, the mandate of the voters should be respected. It was very unfortunate what had happened in 2019 when a BJP Shiv Sena won, and then whatever hodgepodge happened, whatever followed, it was sheer greed and whatever you call it. But I feel this time the voters will give a decisive mandate. I think the voters have understood if they do not give a decisive mandate, if there is a hung assembly, and I personally feel that this time it will be a decisive mandate, and the Mahavati has an advantage this time. It is very different from what was during the Lok Sabha elections, because Lok Sabha, there was that caste divide and all.
Okay.
Vidarbha is full of caste. And let me tell you, Rishabh, the Kunbis, I don't know, the Kunbis might in Maharashtra come back to BJP, which is a possibility, because Nana Patole was insulted by this Uddhav Thackeray. So all this happening, and the kind of developmental projects that Mahayuti did. Now you are saying the aqua line of metro will come. See, all those metro and so many work that the Mahayuti had started, that was stopped during the MBA regime. So now we have the coastal line, the Trans-Harbour line, so the Atal Setu. So all those work, developmental work. So I think the Mumbaikas, especially, I told you in the beginning, Mumbai, Thane, Konkan is giving a definite decisive mandate towards Mahayuti. That's my feeling. Marathwada won't. Maybe
Okay,
Marathwada,
all right. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, my question was a straightforward one, and it's very frustrating for voters because jod, tod, marod, all sorts of things have happened, and all of them are to blame. Okay, BJP is to blame, NCP, both sides are to blame. Nobody can say that we haven't done any jod, tod, marod in 5 years. Everybody has. Okay, they've run a government. Two governments have run for about, let's say, 50% of the term each, roughly. Okay, but was that the mandate of the voter in 2019? We don't know. So what does the voter feel? Do they feel that depending on the votes that are cast, that's how governments are going to be formed in the state, or it doesn't matter because who wins is irrelevant? Somebody will join here, somebody will break up there, somebody will reunite somewhere else and figure it out on their own, and that's not healthy. It's an unhappy sign. We are moments away from releasing exit poll figures, and we'll be releasing all of them one by one. So you have every poll out there. So we leave nothing to chance. You know what every pollster, every media organization is putting out from what they suspect is going to be taking place in Maharashtra. I have a couple of questions for our guests before we get into our poll figures with my colleagues. Let me put the first to Jasmine ji. Jasmine ji, we talk about development as being the core issue. But in development, we've seen slogans. The slogans have become about एक है तो safe है. What does that mean?
Rishabh, it can be deciphered in many ways. It can be one person will decipher it differently. Our opposition leaders, people who are in opposition, then the BJP will read it differently. I basically feel that this is a slogan for our safety, for our ideology, for our unitedness, for our larger interests, for a safer India. You see, BJP is a nationalist party, and we take great pride in saying that we are one party which had always promised right after partition that the 370 article will be done away with. And the minute BJP was in a position to do that, we took this very, very significant decision which had never been taken before, which had not even been contemplated. Even though Kashmir was burning, it was never even contemplated by Congress, which ruled for more than 6.5 decades. So we are a nationalist party, and we believe that India has to remain one from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. And I rest my case on that. That
let me ask Dr. Malik what she feels.
Read that line differently according to their women.
The election is now over, but I suspect that this terminology, which has sort of juxtaposed itself from Uttar Pradesh, may continue because there are elections in Delhi, elections in UP might come early, who knows. Dr. Seema Malik, ek hai to safe hai, seems perfectly reasonable. What do you make of this statement?
Yeah, I would like to say, what about batoge to katoge? What kind of slogan is this? Nobody has appreciated this, and I think BJP's own people, whether it is Ajit Dada Pawar or Poonam Mahajan or Ashok Chauhan, everybody is against this kind of things and this kind of politics, the divisive politics. And कौन बांट रहा है और कौन काट रहा है, nobody knows. Every time when the elections comes, Hindu खतरे में हो जाता है ना? They will start the same thing, dividing people, and so I think this is a way, this is a politics of polarization, and we really condemn this.
Okay.
And I think of the people are fed up of all this. They never talk about the development and all, and then you see what kind of situations there in Maharashtra.
Okay, but it's equally true that we hear your allies only talking about caste census, so it cuts both ways, the development and non-development
issues. It's not a bad thing. Caste census is already, it is a need of the hour, and we are all in favor of caste census and their own allies. I think whether it is Nitish Kumar.
Okay, so allow me to explain to our viewers. Okay.
So many people live in Ajit Pawar.
This is not new politics. The issue is that we are rather naive enough or careless enough not to understand the politics.
You cannot get the justice without doing the social this.
I agree with you, man. I completely agree with you. But for people watching the broadcast, there are Bollywood has formulas. Sometimes you have a love story and the boy meets girl. You have an item song, and there are formulas. Okay, politicians and political parties also have formulas. The traditional formula, as we all know, the Congress has that the Hindu vote is divided. Okay, around communities, identities, and caste lines, state by state. You can unite the Muslim vote. So you go after the Muslim vote and hope on the Hindu vote, a certain percentage coming your way. The Congress has not won an election in Gujarat in the better part of 40 years. Yet, every year they still get 25% of the votes in key constituencies. Okay? 40 years no election have been won. So there is a core vote base that continues voting, and that's a Hindu vote base, not just the Muslim vote base that continues voting for the Congress. So there is a formula. The BJP wants the Hindu votes to unite because that's their formula. So that's why you are hearing the BJP making this slogan and the other parties talking about caste census. So Joyita Basu, let me then put the question to you. Has the BJP managed to unite Hindus in this country?
Well, at least they have managed to send out the message that if you get divided, then you are in trouble. Now, the whole point of the matter is that has the message sunk in? Yes, to a large extent it has. The whole point is that when there is polarization on one side, there is counter polarization on the other side. It is bound to happen. So, when you are talking about, you are totally relying on one community by saying initially people do not understand that one community is voting in on block against a particular party or for a particular party.
Joyita, hold your thought. Let's now jump into the exit poll figures as they are now piling up on our screens. We are going to populate this screen with every single poll being published today. On your screens right now, 2 polling agencies have now released their numbers. One is PMark and the other is Matrix. Have a look at the figures coming in from PMark. They are giving the Mahayuti, remember the Mahayuti is the ruling alliance led by the BJP, 137 to 157, a very wide chunky margin, 20 seats either way. Now whether that tells you a government is being formed or not, it doesn't, because the halfway mark is 145, but they give the MVA 126 to 146. So PMark is telling us that it is a confused mandate, uncertain election, too close to call, with slight advantage incumbent Mahayuti. Matrix is pitching a different story, and a different story by quite a lot different. They are saying Mahayuti 150 to 170. Once again a 20 seat margin of error, but 145 being the halfway mark. They are convinced that it is a Mahayuti BJP led government returning to Maharashtra come 23rd of November, and the MVA will be down to between 110 and 130. Nobody is really counting in the others, which is the rebels and all the others, to play a significant factor more than 10 seats. So I repeat, PMark says 137 to 157 has left it hanging for the Mahayuti. MVA also left hanging, because at the very top end of the prediction of PMark, the MVA can form a government at 146, but Advantage, Mahayuti, the others not expected to do very well. Maitreys once again says Mahayuti government returning 150 to 170, MVA at 110 to 130, others again between 8 and 10. Joyita Basu, your first thoughts?
Well, first of all, if you are looking at the PMark, yes, I totally agree, it is confused. They are playing both sides, because the minute they are giving MVA 146, they are also giving Mahayuti 137. So, automatically they are talking about the possibility of government formation by MVA by getting 146. But at the same time, they are also saying by keeping a gap of say 20 seats, if Mahayuti is going to get 157 seats, then MVA will be getting 126. So, basically it is their trying to, they don't know what is happening. That is the bottom line.
Okay, Gargi Roy, your first thoughts?
Yeah, I think the PMark, they're trying to give a balance, you know. So if they go wrong anyway, they said we said that. We were correct, because they have both ways. So I will rather go with the matrix. I personally feel it will be 155 to 160 for Mahayuti. That is approximately my understanding, the way I have spoken to people on the ground, the way RSS workers are working. So that my understanding, I'll tell you, my number is 155 to 160.
Okay, all right. Dr. Malik, so nice of the exit polls to predict that everybody is winning. I wish that could happen. I wish there was 700-800 seats and everybody could win a few hundred. But very nice of the exit pollsters, but of course they don't want to stick their neck out, because exit poll predictions in the recent past have not been the best. But now, ma'am, the elections are officially over. 6:30 has come our way. What is your number prediction? What are you hoping on getting?
I'm telling you, this is the exit poll only, and we are very sure and we are very confident that we are going to win. Minimum we will get 160 seats, that we are expecting. And I think we should not be guided by this exit poll or something. We have done the work and people know our work, and I think they are going to vote for us. I'm very confident.
All right. Jasmine Sandhawalia, your thoughts? They very nice pollsters who pitching everybody can win, give very large error margins. So it's all up for interpretations. It's just like politicians who never tell us who they're actually with and leave it up to our interpretation. So what's the number that you want to be comfortable with, ma'am? Stick your neck out.
Well, I'm going to stick my neck out and say that we are going to win with a brute majority and we are going to form the government.
Okay. So that's what happened in the center. It wasn't Charso Par. Take sloganeering with a pinch of salt, obviously.
But do remember what we did in Haryana also.
Yeah, it is well noted. I think a lot of pollsters, maybe even voters, have changed their opinions on the BJP's prospects post Haryana. Some correction has happened for sure. Now, you can say that the RS is mobilized, better gave the correction. You can say the voters were worried that they had cut the BJP too much and gave a correction. You can say that the caste calculations worked or did not work and gave a correction. Something happened. If we knew exactly what happened, all of us would be prime ministers and chief ministers. The answer is that we don't necessarily know. But there you have the figures on your screens that are telling you a story. Now, how does this average break down? So, of the two polls, and we're expecting 4 more to add to the mean and median average that we'll be pulling out, the poll of polls is now telling you as the median figure, Mahayuti at 154, the MV at 128 and the others at 6, which would give a sufficient majority to the Mahayuti, which means the BJP, the NCP of Ajit Paar and the Shiv Sena under Eknath Shinde a comfortable return to government. This of course opens up a lot other permutations, connotations, because then does Eknath Shinde return as chief minister? Probably not. I think Devendra Fadnavis has waited in the wings very patiently for the better part of 5 years. He should have been chief minister 5 years ago, but he was denied that by political calculation. So this is an open question. Of course, nothing like this might happen. It might be the complete opposite of this come November 23rd. So we leave that open for interpretation and analysis. But let me take a few questions as we wait for more numbers to come out on our screens. Joyita, when this polling process is going on, and we've seen a lot of exit polls being literally all over the place, one extreme to the other extreme, somewhere in the middle, is this still a physiological process, or are pollsters also sort of letting their biases creep in sometimes?
Well, in certain polls, yes, biases do creep in. I think both sides, we have seen it. And nowadays, of course, if you go to social media, their polls are dime a dozen, but yes, when you are looking at these polls, some biases may creep in, but otherwise I would say this is all very unscientific, primarily because I mean in India in particular, when there are, I mean, one booth may have hundreds of voters and you are possibly totally talking to hundreds of voters in the whole state. How do you get exactly what is going on? There is statewide, when you are looking at states, there are so many forces at work here, so many forces at working at cross purposes. It is not easy to get a poll like this. In fact, you compare it to the US, I mean, they also were getting totally wrong. I mean, they are supposed to be so scientific. Their numbers are much, the fewer voters over there, but even then, it's all over the place. Number one could also be people do not reveal.
But is that procedural? Because yes, let me educate you, ladies and gentlemen. The best polls will, for a Lok Sabha election, maybe do 20 to 25,000 samples, okay, which seems like a lot, but we're talking about 700, 800 million voters. So it's nothing. It's not even 0.01%. Okay, so it's nothing. Now you do have the ability of pre-existing statistical models that are supposed to aid and abet a process of prediction with a reasonable error margin of 3 to 5%. Okay, we've heard the opposite for a long time. So statistics and polling is an art. It's much as people would like to tell you it's a perfect science, it's not, and Goethe has made the point. So let me get Gargi Roy into this. Gargi Roy, so there are two big democracies. One is ours and the other is the US. The pollsters pretty much get it wrong more often than they get it right. Why is that? Have we lost the psychological process, or is it bias, or is it just the limitation of statistics?
I think obviously bias is there. There is the bias of the pollsters. In US, if you say, the mainstream has been against Trump. So they were talking like that. They were giving edge to Kamala. But yes, bias is there. And obviously, when the population is so huge and there is a number of silent voters, there are many people, they don't speak out, especially women in many places. The women belonging to a particular family, maybe the family votes, the male vote for a particular party, you will feel that the woman will keep mum. She will smile, but when she's going to vote, she will vote the person she thinks right. So there is a huge number of silent voters whom the pollsters, whose statistics pollsters cannot get. And it's a huge population, and obviously, and then see, nobody is neutral, not even those who are doing the exit polls. If anybody says any analyst is neutral, I think it's a real big lie. Everybody leads
everybody has an open or an unconscious bias. It creeps in. We're all human beings. It happens. So if you were to err on the side of the caution, you would err on the side of your own preconceived bias. All of us do. We can force ourselves to be neutral, but it happens. Okay. So take this with a pinch of salt, but with the pinch of salt or the dollops of salt or whatever else seasoning you want to add, here is the third poll that has now put out its figures. This is People's Pulse that now gives an even larger advantage to the Mahayuti. At one extreme, it's expecting a thumping win between 175 to 195 seats. So one-way traffic, says People's Pulse, for the voters of Maharashtra, and a pretty sad, shambolic situation for the MVA at 85 to 112 seats, with 7 to 12 for the others. So this has gone into the extreme in favor of the Mahayuti. So the three polls, one is telling you too close to call, the other is telling you advantage Mahayuti, the third is telling you thumping victory Mahayuti. So far nobody is predicting an MVA win. The opposite could happen, but this has an impact on the median figure at the bottom of your screens, where the poll of polls median now is 164 for the incumbent BJP led Mahayuti, 118 for the challenger MVA, and about 6 to the others. The halfway mark being 145, that would give a very comfortable majority as per the poll of polls goes to the existing government. Joyita, we are getting more numbers heading in one direction. I know you've given us yours and you are urging caution.
Yes, I would definitely do that. 175 to 195 sounds a little fanciful. So no, I do not agree with these numbers, because you see, coming so close to the Lok Sabha elections, if you have to take into account, however the mood might have changed, it couldn't have changed so much that there is a wave. I mean, when you are looking at 175 to 195, that's a wave election. Is Maharashtra a wave election? I don't think so.
Okay, Gargi Roy, is it a wave election?
Election, but it is tilted towards Mahayuti. 175 to 195, I also find it a very high. As I said, I have been sticking my neck out. I think around 160, 155 to 160 for approximately 160 for Mahayuti.
Okay.
But Mahayuti will be winning. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, but we've discussed that the polls often maybe get it right, maybe get it wrong, maybe it's a guesstimation, maybe it's a bias. But if all the polls start favoring the Mahayuti, then I have to ask you the question, Gargi Roy, what is it that seems to have given a flavor, even if it is to the pollsters or at least the people polled, that the incumbent has done enough to hang on, maybe even improve their advantage?
Yes, obviously, as I said before, the developmental work of Mahayuti, especially in Mumbai, as I said before, that is one factor. And even if others do not write, the leftists don't like the slogan, batenge to katenge and ek hai to safe hai, let me tell you, Rishabh, it has worked on the ground. Because people have understood that demography is destiny and we cannot deny that. And it is true that in parts of Maharashtra, in Mumbai, we know how, those Rohingya and illegal Bangladeshis, there are places, they're flooded with those people. So people are realizing that. And that is what, when RSS works on the ground, now RSS has been going door to door. People don't know. They are going, each building is given to group of RSS workers. So Swayam Sevaks are going to building and talking to people and making them understand. So this slogan has worked. So as I said, if there is a polarization, when the Congress is talking about reservation on Muslim religious lines, and even in Karnataka, they are saying that reservation of tenders also, that is so dangerous. For government tenders, they want to give reservation. And the kind of people the MVA leaders are meeting, from Salman Azari and that Nomani, what kind of people are they meeting? What are they promoting?
Okay, let me give the politicians a chance. Let me give the politicians a chance to respond, because yes, it could be exactly that. It could be none of that. It is what it is. But the flavor that you are getting is that there is an advantage for the Mahayuti, which means an advantage to the government, which would mean that a government that got the pre-poll alliance as what stood in 2019 should have formed the government but did not. It's potentially back in a new avatar, but the BJP still has the single largest party. Jasmine Sandhawalia, now you had another bit of dose, slightly more in your favor. Was it a wave election, ma'am, or was it just close and you're hanging on?
No, we are not just hanging on. We knew that we were going to do better, and our tally from 105 was definitely going to go up. In 2019, we had 105 constituencies, and we are very confident that we are going to do substantially and significantly better than the last performance. And it is not coming as a surprise to us, because the ground reality and the response, which was to our candidates, was phenomenal. And you will see on the 23rd that the results will reflect what I'm saying. Just like in Haryana, when everybody was saying that we were down and out and we were out, and we emerged as a single largest, not only the single largest party, but we were in a position to form the government independently. So in Maharashtra, we are very, very confident. Not only the BJP, but our allies are also going to improve their tally, and we will be parked in a very, very comfortable position to form the government.
Okay, let me get.
And it is a development. Okay. It is the development and the commitment of our Prime Minister and the belief of people that India is one, and Mr. Modi is one of the best prime ministers that the country has had since its independence.
Okay, let me get Dr. Malik back into this conversation. Dr. Malik, I know the exit polls can be anywhere, so I won't ask you a specific question on winning and losing, because anything can still happen. But I can ask you on a specific question of the alliance. Why did the three parties choose to contest together? Why did your party under Mr. Sharad Pawar feel that it's better to be with the Congress and Uddhav Thackeray even at this stage of the elections?
This is about our ideology. We will never go with the BJP or something, with the Hindutva ideology or something. This is because we are And we have worked on a common Indian program, and we have worked very well. And I'm very confident that we are going to win these. All these, there's no point in showing that they're going to get thumping majority or something. This will never happen. This I'm telling you. Now I have to leave. I have to go to
Okay,
another.
all right, fair enough. I need to take a break nonetheless, ma'am. We take a break. 60 seconds. We are back with all the poll numbers out there. See you in a bit.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.